Gopi has been with Google as the chief evangelist for brand marketing for 9 years, almost 10 years now. And this talk that we're about to hear is a talk that he's given to the CEOs, CMOs, and senior leadership teams of some of the largest brands in the entire world, including AT&T, Clorox, Wendy's, Walgreens, Starbucks, just to name a few. So without further ado... And Berkey's.
Yeah, that's some Berkey's.
So without further ado, I welcome Gopi.
Thank you. So keeping with the theme, I think we got to ask, are you right-handed or left-handed?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Okay, I am very much right-handed.
You're in the minority here. 7 out of 10 are left-handed.
But recently, like 2 days ago, I said, I'm going to try and learn the piano because I want to sing a particular song. And I'm trying to think myself, like, I play other instruments but with one hand, primarily. But with the piano, trying to, make two hands do completely different things. And I've been watching videos on YouTube and saying, how am I going to figure this one out? So I will be ambidextrous for sure. But since you mentioned you like, Trent said mixed genres and music and Bollywood, how many of you do Bollywood dancing? Or ever?
Yes.
You've done, what's your name?
Ayman?
Ayman. Okay, so you've done Bollywood dancing.
In college.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do it right now.
No.
Alright, so the others are laughing, right? This is crazy. They're laughing at you. Now we change it. Actually, what I'm going to do is make the rest of you dance, and you can judge their skills. How does that sound? Okay? Be careful what you laugh at. Actually, we all do Bollywood dancing. Right, just to get the thing started off. So everyone stand. I've never done it. I will lead you. It is fairly simple, okay? And especially since you're all left-handed, it works even better.
So all the right-handed folks can sit down now.
I am not a dancer.
All right,
so
yeah, it is fairly simple. I will teach you. I will train you. Let's see how well you do or not. Okay. So first you. Let's get music up. Okay, so put your hands up, okay? So you're raising the roof. The roof is uneven, so you go one side and the other side. But while you're doing it, might as well be useful and turn some light bulbs on. And since there are light bulbs all around, you kind of turn to the music and sing. And make sure you go the other way too, so you don't miss any light bulbs. Uneven. Alright, now have a seat.
Oh wait, that's a good
Careful everybody, we've got blackmail.
Well, this is how we drive innovation at Google, which is, I had this thought on the way, actually I had this thought 5 seconds ago when I was testing the sound. Some of you seem to like the music. I said, let's try Bollywood. I asked Julia. So we launch and iterate very quickly. And we get the results also very quickly. The results showed conclusively that all of you are terrible Bollywood dancers. So I got the results quickly. But sometimes the experiment has other outcomes also, which you may not have expected, but at least you learn something very quickly you take on. In this case, I know Julia looks so horrified that she would never have me back in front of your board. That's the other outcome. But to switch gears and talk a little bit about brand marketing, on Friday, the world woke up to this particular event, okay? And this song is what the world was.
No secret that the both of us are running out of time. So how from the other side, I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done when I call you.
So call from the other side to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. How many of you have watched this video? Yeah? 2 of you. What are we? Yeah. What is your name?
Right.
Red. Okay. For the rest of the group, tell us what is that video we're looking at?
Oh, it's Adele.
Adele.
Yeah, I didn't pay
Okay, so
attention
this
to
is
it, but-
Adele's single Hello, which she released on Friday after a 3-year hiatus. This video on Friday, it crossed 25 million views. 1 per hour. That is more than the population of Australia. At one point, we track all this kind of data on YouTube, we're watching it, 1.6 million more people every hour, middle of the day was happening. It's not on Friday, today's Thursday, right? Thursday, number of views, 134 million. That is more than the population of Australia and Germany combined in less than a week, okay? And it's just spreading like wildfire. And as a result of this kind of frenzied viewership distribution of this brand called Adele, in an era where people don't buy music, people are just live streaming, her album, the singles that have been bought on iTunes and other sources, will by the end of this week become the largest purchased piece of music in history. In an era where people don't buy music, that single. And the album is only coming out November 20th, so you have to wait. Again, in an era where people are used to instant gratification. The pre-bookings for that album, if you go on iTunes, it has hit the #1 spot. For an album you can't buy, you have to pay in advance and wait till November 20th. What this points to is, and the only reason this is not possible for a brand like, for Adele's music label and Vivo, which is doing the distribution, is 5 years ago, if you had to do it, if you had to reach an audience like this, you had to book space and get in an editorial space on MTV for the US market, maybe BBC or some other channel in UK, and Star TV in India, NHK in Japan. But here what they did is on Friday, one video they pushed out onto a platform, onto this global mass platform. And instantly, kids in Argentina and kids in New Delhi and kids in Tokyo were watching it and sharing it with each other. And more than 50% of the views were happening wherever people were, not in front of a TV, on this device, as people are sitting in buses and trains and living rooms. I remember, of those, I have to admit, about 20 million are my own views. Obsessively watching it, sending it to my nephews and nieces. But I was having a metrosexual day with my stylist in yeah, exactly. In the salon, when the lady in the chair next to me said we were talking about the song, she had seen it. Our stylist had not seen it, and we were like, "You must watch it." Pull it out on the phone, put it on the salon counter, and we were watching it in a collective experience. So this is the kind of possibility that exists. Now you may look at this saying, "Okay, this is Adele. She's got a powerful voice. She once again is singing about breakup. It moves every woman's heart in the world. She can get away with it." But it's not just. Brands around the world are looking at this medium and says, what Adele could do in those 4 days, it is possible now for brands to do. So I challenge you here. And it's not just anymore for Nike or Starbucks. How many of you wear clothing from Wren Clothing? WREN. Nobody. I would not expect you to. It's a completely unknown brand. And I don't wear clothing from them either, or at least prior to this I was not aware of the brand. But just look at this. This is Wren Presents, a video called First Kiss that they created. It's a story. They tried this experiment of getting people, complete strangers, to see if they will try a nice, deep, passionate kiss with each other. And film that video.
Whew. Yeah. Do we just do this anytime?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, take your time. We're ready.
Oh. Can you turn off the lights? Come on.
Justin,
These are
how are you?
Nice to
Shall we
meet
make
you.
out?
Absolutely.
This here is the awkward moment.
Since you're an actress, you've done this before. And
A little bit.
Okay, so you don't need to watch the whole thing. You get the drift of where this could have been going, right? All the emotions associated with thank you. And this video from Wren Clothing, and it connotates the brand image that Wren is trying to project, which is a little bit adventurous, a little bit edgy, a little bit first time, trying new things out. It is that kind of image that they want to project. They're based in Los Angeles. 108 million views. It became the fastest spreading brand video ever with this tiny company that none of us have heard of, right? And that's what I mean by this has now become a platform for the most unlikely of brand practitioners to get in and reach the kind of audience you want. And this is what I want to explore with you. What exactly is going on digital that makes this a possibility, whether it's Adele on one hand or Wren Clothing on the other hand, to reach an audience and get the brand image out and instantly. Now, much of it is actually free, but if you put some more dollars into it, then there's other things that you can do. And I'll share with you a lot of those examples. And as Julia mentioned, in my day-to-day role, my job at Google is to meet with the bigger brands out there, which is one group of customers and clients that Google has. So think of companies like P&G, Clorox, Starbucks, Nike, Disney, and primarily the meetings are with the CMOs or with the leadership teams in marketing, and demystify this whole new world for them. And it is changing pretty dramatically in a way, in an unprecedented ways, that they are struggling with as well, because the old rules of marketing that they learned, all of a sudden, might not work as well. They need to make some changes, adaptations to it. For example, if I told you 4 years ago that people in the future will get water from the web, not from the tap, you would not have taken me seriously. You still don't take me seriously. Some of you are looking very skeptical. Water, because water is cheap, available in plenty, and it's a heavy product. What do you mean by you people are going to get it off the web? But here's what is happening with even some category like water. Because of the internet, the amount of information that is freely available, consumers become very savvy about what they put into the body. And therefore now there's an increased understanding that sugared drinks have artificial sweetness, and there's an association with Coke equal to diabetes. Last 10 years, Coke and Pepsi sales have gone down, to be expected because consumers are more educated. They are self-educating about nutrition. Water, on the other hand, is going up every year. Good news for the world that we are now a little more hydrated than when we were before. And the number one seller of bottled water now, it's been for a while, not just now, is Nestle. So Nestle reported its sales, and I was looking at first quarter and second quarter numbers. Bottled water, right? The Coke and Pepsi reported second quarter sales dropping down because consumer behavior has changed. Nestle, water sales going up, to be expected. Their sales in store was about 5%. Okay, great news for them. Their store, the sales online, 14.7%, nearly 3 times the rate. How is it possible? That seems completely nutty that people are buying water online. But the new behavior today is kids will walk home, look in the pantry and say, oh, we're running out of bottled water, if they're a bottled water family. Call the mom on a device like this. Mom, in the middle of a meeting, will say, honey, I'll take care of it. Goes, pulls up whatever method she shops by, Fresh Direct, Shopping Express, couple of clicks, and 2 more pallets of water get dropped off the same evening. Because consumers are like, why should I carry the same stuff all the way from a store, from Costco or Safeway, and bring it in when somebody's willing to drop it off for free? And that is a new behavior. That is what I mean by water is being bought off the web. So how do you navigate your way and build your brand in a world where these behaviors have suddenly become very radically different? But one thing is clear, as all of you are leading your own brands within your own startup companies. If I were to individually talk to you, or if I were to talk to the CMO of Starbucks, or the VP of Digital, Alexa Wheeler, or when I talk to the CMO of Wendy's, Brendan Rotten, across all of them, between Starbucks and Nike and Pepsi, the message is all the same. They're all trying to establish a lifelong relationship with the consumer, because there is enough opportunity for consumers to keep switching brands and loyalty. So to the extent that they can retain the consumer, no matter what the product is, whether it's a car or whether it's bottled water, if you can hold on to the consumer for a lifetime, that's what they're trying to do even on digital in terms of building the brand and bringing on a strong brand affinity. And at Google, we call that a brand relationship arc, that lifelong journey. And it's something I want you to think about for each of your own brands. I know there are a variety of brands. So I'll show it to you. And I brought a little chart to actually illustrate it. And this time you might start laughing, right? Here I am from Google, and instead of digital, I'm pulling a 2000 paper. But I don't have any PowerPoint slides, by the way. This is my PowerPoint slide. It's touch screen also.
Do you mind holding it a little to the, yes.
Yeah, okay. But the relationship for any of your brands, and all of these big brands that I talk about, runs this way. There's a place where first there's an awareness of the brand forms. Like, for example, Tesla. Right? There's some 6-year-old somewhere in Los Angeles or San Francisco suddenly becoming aware because daddy and mommy are talking about this thing called Tesla. That's when the awareness may kick in, and they say, I know it exists, it is known for something. And from that awareness phase, some of the consumers move up to an affinity phase where they say, I care about this brand, it represents me. When it gets to the represents me phase, that is when the customer is willing to feature the brand on their body, like the Berkside t-shirt comes up, or the Nike cap comes up. Or in the case of Harley Davidson, what is the behavior? What do they do with the logo? Some consumers
Tattoo?
tattoo it exactly. What's your name?
Robert, as Robert said, yeah, they tattoo it. It gets so personal. It represents me. I'm willing to emboss it on my skin. But that's in Ohio, right? In Stanford Mall, I've seen Apple tattoos. I've seen Apple and Sony PlayStation. Okay, unique to this part of the world.
Iron Man is a big one.
What's that?
Iron Man tattoos.
Iron Man tattoos, right? Yeah, exactly. So that's when the affinity becomes so strong. And then a tiny percentage of e-consumers will actually move to the category where they say they'll forgive the brand, even if you make a mistake. I always fly Virgin, even if my bags are misplaced, I will still stay with Virgin. And then they get into the defender category where they are your biggest vocal advocates, particularly today on digital, on social media. This community is so rabid, and they will not let their brand be attacked. It's a personal thing. And those have become the biggest brand marketers and directors for these brands. Brands that understand fully how to leverage the different categories. And this is a fairly small percent. And we have a tool by which we measure the distribution for any brand called Google Consumer Surveys. And Nike, Starbucks, when they get up here, they're like single-digit percent, high single-digit. That's about the highest we've seen. Except one brand with extraordinary double-digit. That's a total aberration, 30% or so in Canada. What? Anybody from that part of the world? You can guess it. Tim Hortons, exactly. Yeah. Tim Hortons in Canada gets 20-30% defenders. But that's because ice hockey hero who died, family started a coffee and donut chain, and they're completely nuts about it. So, before I move further, just to get because there are so many brands in this world, tell me a couple of reference brands that each of you may think of that has done an extraordinary job for building a strong base of defenders. Do we have a pen, Jimmy? Yeah, just give me some names. Just toss up.
Apple.
Apple, okay. Apple's a good one.
Tesla.
Apple, Tesla.
Nike.
Do you have like a
You want
marker
a
pen?
flip chart?
No, just a pen.
Oh, yeah, you want marker.
No, I could use it. Okay.
Would have said
Apple,
Subaru until recently.
Tesla. What did you say?
Nike.
Nike, right? Yeah, so let's use those Starbucks, or those are all great examples. And there were a set of examples, right? So Tesla, Nike, Apple. So this brings up an interesting point. Just because you have a strong base of defenders doesn't guarantee you stay there. It is a very fickle kind of, it's a knife-edge situation in that there's a constant engagement needed, particularly digital allows you to do that. Apple, 15 years ago, was here. Irrelevant brand. It is below it exists. Nobody's like, I don't care you exist, right? Because that kind of state. Thank you. And then through a reign of product innovation after Steve Jobs came back, starting with the iPod, and then the iPhone, and then the iPad, they moved back up here to become the most valuable brand on the planet. And now again, the press is questioning whether they're beginning to lose their edge because we haven't seen too much innovation, and they may be beginning to again slip up. BP, right? One Deepwater Well Horizon disaster was all the way here, and it's taken them 7 years to slowly build themselves up as a green company, and still some skepticism. You are kind of said, I'm not so sure. But that is, so one of the things that as you build your brand, I want you to think of is like, where might you exist among your target population? You're obviously much more smaller because you're an early stage company. Where do you exist? So in the case of Burkeyes in the market that you operate, for homeowners, would they put you in just awareness, or are they strong defenders, right? And use that as a baseline to, as you build your brand. And tools like the ones that we have, plus there are so many external tools available, you can check this on a daily basis, quarterly basis to see what your distribution is. Okay? So with that as a sort of like an initial foundation, let me talk about how you pull all these levers available on digital to move your consumer up the arc. But before you do it, yeah,
B2B also.
correct.
Some references to B2B.
Yeah, in strong brands. Yeah, what would
In terms of like, there's a different play for consumers, right? A YouTube video goes to 135 million. That's a great for consumer brands.
Okay.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But when you're gonna reach a very narrow niche audience in a B2B,
Sure,
like
yeah.
IT.
Yeah. I'll totally talk about that. In fact,
Yeah.
it's a good thing you do. Please do challenge me on any of these things, right?
Yeah.
Or make me take it in a direction. That's why I don't bring slides, because then I can switch. I'm not stuck to a thing. So, customers, I stop using the word consumers. When I'm met, because I went through the list of, I know some of
Yeah.
you are B2B, if you're selling 401k plans to a company, or in your case, like to the CIO organization, it's very different. In general, when I meant consumers, it's this behavior, because the same person is now carrying on the behavior to the workplace also in terms of how they're searching and experiencing. So I'll use B2B example for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are a couple of three important ways in which consumers have changed their behavior, customers in general, when they connect with brands or engage, whether it's a B2B brand or a consumer brand. And one of the first things is increasingly when brands engage with your customers, customers now have a choice. You can't ambush their attention, which used to be the prior model. Now it has to be permission-based because the customer, on digital particularly, has what I call the power of the swipe. They have choice. And the power of the swipe works this way, that when a brand message shows up, so whether it's a Burkheist message or a Nike message shows up in front of them on a platform like this, if it does not get their attention in a few seconds, they just swipe it away and they move on to the next thing. A piece of content you put in front of them, it could be an ad, it could be something like a how-to guide, a few seconds, because the customer increasingly says, attention is my currency that I know you're after as a brand, and I will trade it for you if you give me some value. And the value they seem to be expecting on digital is one of three things: entertainment, education, or some sort of inspiration. So they say, entertain me, educate me, inspire me, then I'll give you a little more attention past that 4 seconds. So clever brands have figured this out, and they're doing incredible, astonishing things on the web to hold on to the consumer's attention. So let me use an example, and since Manish challenged me, I will use a B2B example. In fact, let me see, I'll use a really boring B2B example, at least in the case of routers or tech items, it's still at least the higher end. I'll use trucks. Trucks are like the most boring utilitarian. Very niche audience, right? Who cares about trucks? Truck drivers and fleet owners. And it's so niche that, say, in the US, according to the American Trucker Association, there are what, 2 million or so truck drivers. So very small population. So let's look at a niche audience. So, and I'll use a truck brand, not even a well-known brand like the bigger truck brands, and let me use something that is a minor player in the truck industry, like Volvo, meaning Volvo trucks. Even in the car industry, they're small, number 10 or so, but Volvo trucks is practically unheard of. So I'll show you a piece of digital content that Volvo put out recently, and I'm going to do the swipe test among you, even though you may not be fleet owners, truck drivers. So when I pull up this video, it's a truck-related video. It's actually not an ad or something, a piece of content I've seen from Volvo. So we'll do the swipe test, and the way it works is raise one hand, okay? When the video rolls, everybody raise one hand. When the video rolls, if it gets to a point saying it's boring, swipe it away, okay? When the room is about half the hands are done, I'll stop it. So you tell me what is your impatience point with this video.
Hearing that is beneficial for the driver. The first one is the low steering wheel force required at low speed.
So about 4 or 5 seconds I saw, and none of you want to watch this point, right? It's blurry and the engineer's voice is not particularly compelling. Except this video has been watched, it's a B2B video, 1.6 million times. Okay, 1.6 million times. How did Volvo get that target audience to watch it that they got 1.6 million views? Isn't that intriguing? So they understand this formula well. They actually started with entertainment as a whole. The video that they made people watch in the beginning, before they got them to watch, was this one. How many of you have seen this one? You have? Mm-hmm. And your name? I can't see.
Molly.
Molly.
Yes.
Molly, when is the last time you bought an 18-wheeler? What were you doing with this piece of content? So for the rest of you who may not have seen it, let me play the whole video. It's called the Volvo Van Damme video.
I've had my ups and downs, my fair share of bumpy roads and heavy winds. That's what made me what I am today. Now I stand here before you. What you see is a body crafted to perfection, a pair of legs engineered to defy the laws of physics, and a mindset to master the most epic of space.
Trucks are rolling in reverse, actually, they're moving backwards. So as you can see, this was a piece of content that they created just as a test. to set up to demonstrate the stability and precision of Volvo dynamic steering, which is an arcane part of a truck. Who cares? Except truck drivers and fleet owners do. Because equipped with that piece of equipment, trucks can move in a straight line, especially when you reverse, which is what they were demonstrating. Why is that important? When you bring it to a loading dock, which is what the other engineer was explaining, you can dock the truck precisely as opposed to backing and forth, which saves time and also reduces driver fatigue. The two most important cost considerations in the trucking industry: driver fatigue and the time to turn around a truck. So that value proposition they articulated so beautifully. Now this video was watched by the mass audience, 81 million people, including Molly here, right? So all the people who are not in the truck business still walked away with a broader Volvo message, that Volvo is a brand that stands for precision engineering, driver safety, driver comfort. But truck drivers and fleet owners who look at this video were so intrigued by this test. The next thing they do, they were clicking on the second video on this strip, where the engineer explains how they developed this technology. That's how they got 1.6 million views for the video that is no longer boring because it's highly intriguing. They wanted to know how this test was conducted. There's also behind the scenes video. This is the other interesting thing about digital. Not only will people watch an ad or something about your product, they'll watch the 6 follow-on videos. How did they do it? What was behind the scenes? And you can get the interested consumer to engage. So all of this only matters if it really impacted your business. Okay? So push me on all of this to say, I want to show the numbers. Here's what happened. Volvo's sales last year for trucks equipped with this part has gone up by 31%. And there's an interview in Ad Age you can read about with the CEO and with the agency that created it. They said this was the new behavior. The sales team, the B2B sales team, it's a B2B sale for industrial piece of equipment costing, what, $500,000. They'd walk into office and the fleet owner would say, Volvo, you guys did the Van Damme video, right? Sit down, let me explain to me, tell me how exactly did you do it. They were so intrigued. 31% increase in sales. And so how did Volvo get to do it? It's not the kind of brand, they're based in Sweden, a tiny 2% agency is what they use. They didn't know either, but they saw the new entertainment as a hook. They were willing to experiment. This is what we're seeing on our platforms. The brands that are succeeding are willing to take risks and try different things, and then they watch the data, and then suddenly they'll hit gold with the wall. So in the case of Volvo, this particular video, here is the interesting thing, the one that Molly watched. You see, it says live test. Actually, the number also was showing in a previous version of watching. It would say live test number 6. They seem to have changed that. They did a series of 10. They did 10 actually. Each one using entertainment as a hook, and then they would try some feature of the truck they would talk about, see how will it work, then try the next one. They were constantly getting data back. This iteration, which again in traditional media you would not. Only a highly polished campaign or a piece of content would show up. They were so brazen that they were willing to even experiment with their CEO. How many of you would go to your CEO and ask him to do something like this so that he can market your brand? This is Volvo. The team went to their CEO, Claes Nielsen, and made him do this.
Hello, my name is Claes Nielsen, President of Volvo Trucks. I've learned that when you want to make a YouTube hit, you need a hook at the beginning of the film. And here it is. This is a hook from the new Volvo FMX. Made of cast iron, and it holds up to 32 tons. That's far more than